This video is talking about rational functions. We're going to talk about a couple of basic curves to start off with, the reciprocal functions. Two basic curves I want you to memorize are the graph of f of x equals 1 over x and f of x equals 1 over x squared. The graph of 1 over x, if you think about this, plotting some points, if I were to plug in the point x equals 1, well, 1 over 1 would be 1, so we'll plot that point right there. If I were to pick 2, 1 over 2 is 1 half. 3, 1/3. So those are going to get closer and closer to that x-axis, no matter, but should never touch that x-axis. What happens if I pick 1 half? Well, 1 over 1 half would actually be 2. So if I picked 1 half, I would get 2. The smaller the fraction, it's going to get closer and closer to that y-axis. Okay, what about on the left? If I pick 0, I'm in trouble. 1 over 0 is undefined, so nothing's going to plot on this y-axis. You're never going to touch the y-axis. If I plugged in -1, I would get -1. -2, I would get -1 half. And so on. Same thing's going to happen right here. So this is the graph of 1 over x, the reciprocal function. It has what we call asymptotes involved. The x and y axis actually will be asymptotes in this graph. In other words, your graph should get closer and closer to them, but actually never touch them. Now my drawing's a little off, so it looks like it's actually touching, but in theory, it should not touch the axes. The same thing happens on 1 over x squared, except since you're always squaring the number on bottom, you should always have a positive output. So what happens in this situation is you get the same curve in quadrant 1. But actually what happens, since it's 1 over x squared, you're going to get the same, it's going to happen in quadrant 2 instead of 3. So twin hyperbolic curves in quadrant 1 and 2. So you kind of need to memorize these two basic curve functions. So if we know our translations with functions, what would happen if I were asked to sketch the graph of 1 over x plus 3? Well, we know that adding 3 to a function just shifts everything up 3. So my normal function, we know the 1 over x function looks like so. So if I shift everything up 3, what I should do is just shift that asymptote up 3. So this is my new, let me do this in a different color. This is my new asymptote right here. The y won't be shifted up at all, but the x asymptote would be shifted up. So this is actually the graph we would be looking for. Take the blue out now. The graph we will be looking for will look like so. Everything's just shifted up 3 units. Likewise, we know if we add or subtract in the parentheses, this is like 1 over x squared, which we know normally looks like this function. We know that's what our graph is supposed to look like. But since we've got x minus 4 in parentheses, we're going to shift everything to the right. So what happens is my vertical asymptote this time gets shifted up over 4 units to the right. If you think about it, positive 4 would cause you 0 in the denominator, so your asymptote actually should be x equals 4 instead of 0. So let's take that out. And our new graph will look like so. Oops. thinking something different. It should be in the up top part.